Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 5 of the BJJ Foxcast. I am your host, Alex Martinez. And today, I am with a good friend, Watus Cooper. He is the head instructor and owner of Unfair Advantage Performance in Tempe, Arizona. Watus, welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
glad to be here.
Yeah, so I've been wanting to get you on the show, like, since I started, right? Not too long ago.
Okay.
But I guess let's start with where you're from and tell me a little bit about how you got to Arizona, because you're not from here originally, are you?
Correct. I am not. So where am I from? I was born and raised in Japan. So little known fact that most people may not know about me is that my parents are both military. So I was born in Okinawa, Japan, and then we moved back to the States, lived in Texas until I was 5, and then went back to Japan, mainland Japan, and I was there from kindergarten to 8th grade. So
Wow.
literally my entire growing up, I was born and raised in Japan.
No kidding.
And then we moved to Arizona.
Do you speak Japanese?
Skosh.
Oh, nice.
Skosh.
Yeah, that was quick. I like it. You probably catch people off guard saying stuff
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Every once in a while.
Yeah, that's cool. So were they Marine Corps, Army?
Air Force.
Air Force.
Both
Okay.
Air Force.
Okay.
Yep.
And so you were probably born on a military base.
Yep.
And you were raised on a military base.
Yep.
And tell me about, I'm always curious about like how people grow up on a military base. Do you go to like American schools? Do you go to Japanese schools?
Yeah, so we lived on base or we were stationed there, but we actually lived off base.
Okay.
So I had a real unique experience because a lot of my upbringing was American, but we lived immersed in the culture of the Japanese or the Okinawans, as they prefer to be called. So Okinawa and Japan were very different in cultures, but in Okinawa we lived off base.
Okay.
And so went to an American school, but it was always around the Japanese or the Okinawan culture and their lifestyle. So all their schools and everything was around. All my friends were predominantly from that culture.
Wow.
And so, but as I got older and we started to do more things on base, it was just like a regular American school.
Wow.
You know,
Okay.
So everybody
Okay.
was around me who was American. I think the biggest difference from being in a military overseas type of school situation is every 2 years you got new friends.
Yeah,
So
that's
people
true.
were
I didn't
leaving
think
and
about
coming
that.
back
Yeah.
like 2 to 4 years every other year. Like everybody was gone. So you kind of built up this real resiliency to people leaving.
Yeah.
And being like a kind of a chameleon, just kind of like, hey, how you doing? New
Yeah.
people and integrating with new friends.
Yeah,
So,
I have some experience with that, being in the military as well. I did 9 years in the Navy, and excuse me, did 9 years in the Navy, and we went on deployments. You do a workup, and you're you don't realize how close you're getting with your shipmates, like the people that you work with every
Yeah.
day, and you don't realize it until you do a deployment and we come back. When we came back, like 30% of the ship's company would move. They would transfer.
Right.
So you're losing all of your friends, and then it's
There
like,
you go.
who's this new guy? You know what I mean? Like you get some new people, like a new boss or new friends, and that was hard for me, man. That was really hard.
Yeah,
So I
it's
can
big.
imagine as a kid having to deal with that, year in, year out.
It was really interesting. I think I didn't realize it until we came to the States, right?
Yeah.
So my parents wanted to move and retire, so they picked Arizona. We're going to retire in Arizona. We're going back. And so they got stationed in Tucson, down at Davis Mountain. And everybody I went to school with knew everybody since they all grew up together.
Yeah.
So I was a new guy showing up, and everybody knew everybody from 8th grade and from 3rd grade and from kindergarten. I'm just like, how do you guys all know each other for so long? Like, this is weird.
Yeah.
And it didn't hit me that, that's what normal kids go
Regular,
through.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
like what a regular upbringing, or maybe just your standard American, just people who grow up in the States.
Yeah.
Like you kind of grow up and you go to kindergarten together, grade school together, junior high together, high school together,
Yeah.
and then you disperse into college. And so it was really interesting to come into that and kind of be like, so freshman year of high school was my first year living in the States that I actually remember what it was to be in the States. And so it's kind of a culture shock, kind of like, okay, what's going on? But at the same time, it's like, this is amazing. This
That is
cool.
so cool, man.
So yeah.
So give me a little taste of what it's like to be, because you said you have the Japanese folks, and then you have the Okinawans who prefer to be called Okinawans. I'm assuming their cultures like intermingle a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But what's the biggest difference between the Okinawans and Japanese?
I think the Okinawans just really wanted to be their own island.
Okay.
And they kind of got acquired by the Japanese, and
Yep.
so they were a part of that whole unification, and they didn't really want that. So I don't really know all the back history about it, but
Yeah.
if you call it somebody who's from Okinawa Japanese, they would correct you.
Oh, wow.
We're Okinawan.
Okay.
We're not Japanese, I'm Okinawan.
Yeah.
So
and tell me about that. So was it because when I was stationed in South America for a couple of years, and I lived in the South in the Panamanian economy. Like I had an apartment in the economy, so I would drive to work every day and do all that stuff. But there was a significant difference. Like leaving the base, I was in Panama.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh,
On
yeah.
the base, I was in America. It was like a McDonald's and all that other crap. Yeah. So was it the same kind of way?
100%.
Wow.
100%. I think that it's funny. I look at there were some times when the base would close, and you did not want to be on the other side of the gates. So we went to the Philippines. We'd travel the whole Southeast.
Wow.
So South Korea and the Philippines, and every once in a while in the Philippines, they'd be running different exercises or something happened. If you were off base when the gates closed, you're out there.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And in the Philippines, you don't want that to happen.
Wow.
So not that it was real bad, but it was like there's a definite difference between that's home and safety versus out here.
Yeah.
You're in another world, another country.
Wow. So, okay. So freshman year, you're in high school, you're in the States, and you're in Tucson?
Tucson. Yep.
Okay. So you're in Tucson. So it had to be a little culture shock, right? Going to Tucson,
time.
but you're still kind of on a military-ish kind of family.
Yeah. So I mean, my parents were working there this month, but they built their house 45 minutes away from the northwest side of Tucson.
Okay.
So we're way northwest because they knew they wanted to retire and be apart from the city, more or less. They just commuted back and forth to the base, and we lived in northwest. So if you're familiar with Tucson, CDO, Canyon de Laurel High School, is the high school I went to, and there's it's kind of just, it's the northwest side of Tucson, so it's a more affluent area. Everybody in that area, and come to find out, that's like where the rich kids were.
Okay.
And then there's not a very diverse community.
Gotcha.
So we're there, and it's just like all of those things are happening at the same time. So from a military standpoint, there is no such thing as a rich part of the base.
No.
Right? I mean, you have officers enlisted and that sort of thing maybe, but ultimately everybody's in the military. Everybody's in the service. And so I didn't really understand that dynamic of certain people have certain things privy to them.
Yeah.
And so it was just interesting coming into that and realizing underprivileged kids or families that are in the same, even though we're in the northwest side of town, they still experience these things that we're not privy to, certain income factors, for the other families. And so that was the culture thing. Whoa, everybody's different. Yeah. Not everybody's the same. We're not all wearing the same uniform here, even though we're going to the same school. And that was my eye-opening experience as a freshman in high school. Is okay, wow, we're all different, very different financially, culturally, and just our own upbringing. So kind of bringing all that and kind of mushing it together for a 14-year-old kid.
Yeah,
so,
that had to be a lot to take in one shot. Yeah,
it was.
Yeah. So I have a little, again, the parallels of, between being a kid, a military kid, and being actually in the military. I joined the military at 19. So that's all I knew. I had some jobs, I was a server at a restaurant and blah blah blah, but I never really worked in a corporate world. So when I got in the military, it's not corporate, but it's very structured, right? Obviously. So you get in the military, and the guys your age are about your rank, so you become friends. And then the guys that are a little bit older are in charge of you because they've been in for maybe 2 or 3 years. And then the people with gray hair have been there a long time, and they're going to retire, right? They're the ones that are in charge. I get out of the military and I go to work in a corporate setting, and I'm working side by side. My peers have gray hair. Some guys are older, some guys are younger. So, and the people in charge are the college graduate, engineers they don't have gray hair. They're just in charge, right?
Right.
So that was really tough for me, to figure out, you you show respect to everybody.
Yep.
But I mean, these guys are my age, and they've been in that industry for 10 years, and they're responsible for a lot of stuff. So that was hard for me to overcome. So I can tell you that it's a different kind of culture shock, but it's still a culture shock. So who were you in high school, man? What did you do in high school?
It's funny, the military really taught me to be able to be friends with everybody. So I was the cool kid.
Yeah.
I wasn't the best at all the things. I mean, I played football, I ran track. And all my friends were football and track guys, and so I was kind of in the in crowd.
Yeah.
But I wasn't a popular kid, which was kind of interesting. Yeah. I just got along with everybody, and I go back to kind of default in the military. The military just kind of teaches you how to get along with most people, and so high school was fun. Yeah. High school was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Playing football and running track. I was a big baseball kid.
Okay.
Coming into high school. So Japan, baseball is everything.
Yep.
They play a lot of baseball, a lot of golf, and a lot of baseball, and a lot of golf. And so I grew up just playing baseball all my life. And then I get here, and there's just this different dynamic where you didn't play in junior high with us, you're not playing with us in high school. You're not just going to be on the team. So here's this new kid. I'm here and I'm like, I'm going to play baseball. Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
And
it's also Tucson, right?
Yeah,
It's Tucson. Like if you're not from there, you're not from there.
Yeah.
Right.
So nobody knows who you are. Nobody really thinks you can. And so there weren't any spots to make it on the team.
Right.
And this is kind of like a known thing. Like if you don't know the coach and you're not in with that guy.
Yeah.
So I wasn't that kid. I didn't know the coach. I didn't know. So it was like I had to figure something else out. And that's when I fell into track and field.
Okay.
And so track and field was like my default. They're same season, right? Spring season, baseball was happening. I'm not going to go out for baseball. I'm going to try this thing out, track and field. So I started running track and found my home in the hurdles, the high hurdles.
Okay.
And started to get really good at it. Yeah. And that was where I was like, okay, I like this track and field thing.
Yeah. So were you pretty tall as a freshman, or did you grow?
I wasn't.
Okay.
I didn't grow. And I think this might be true for a lot of guys. I don't know. Maybe until after my sophomore year.
Yeah.
It was that summer of sophomore year going into junior years that I actually started to come into my own and figure some things out.
Yeah. I had to go through a massive growth spurt to get to average. After my sophomore. I'm serious. I was small, dude. I was small.
Really?
Yeah. I played football. When I was a kid, we had this is Texas, so we had organized football 5th grade, 6th grade, starting from 5th grade, and you actually played for your school.
Nice.
Like it wasn't like a Pop Warner or anything. You didn't have to do any of that. So back then, this is a long time ago, but back then your parents were buying you cleats and a mouth guard. The school provided everything else, and the pads were not great. Like you had to tape them up, and, tie them up with shoelaces and stuff. But I played for basically the same coach, 5th and 6th grade. He transferred to a junior high that I went to, so I played for him in 7th grade. The 8th grade coach retired, so he took the 8th grade spot, and I played for him there. And then a brand new high school opened up that I was zoned for, that he became the JV coach because there was only freshmen and sophomores in that high school, and they were going to grow into junior, senior.
Right.
So I went to play freshman ball, and I show up, and I'm like the smallest person there. Like all my friends are like, "Oh my gosh!" Like they're so big, and I was like, hey, the girls in bathing suits in the swim team, so I became a swimmer. That's how it happened for me. So baseball kind of didn't work out for you. Football didn't work out for me. Yeah.
Swimming.
So, swimming, man. It was. I did pretty good. I was a diver. Primarily.
Okay.
And then I would get thrown in, like if they needed somebody to do like a distance swim. I would do anything to get in the pool. Anything to get in the pool. Okay. So it's hard to get pulled. Like today, my kids, they did swimming in high school. And they make up events. Like they don't count towards points towards the outcome, but like they'd have relay races where like one kid swims the length of the pool, gets out of the pool, they're wearing a t-shirt, and you got to swap the t-shirt out to give to the other person.
Oh, wow.
They swim back.
This is a real event.
This is
they
a
made
real,
up, but not real. But
yes, it's a real event. It happens in front of your eyes, and it takes up. Dude, you know how long these events are. Track events, swimming events. It takes up way too much time, and it doesn't count towards points. Towards the outcome. But I had a swim coach, Sam Fruia. Sam Fruia was about, I don't know, man, he was maybe 5 foot tall, little chubby guy, but he could outswim almost everybody. I mean, he was really, really efficient in the water. And if you can't swim, you're not getting in the pool, period. Like he didn't feel sorry for anybody. So if they had, listen, whatever distances that no one wanted to do, I was like raising my hand, I'm going in the pool. So I It was a good fit for me at the time, but I did love football though. It was really cool. So yeah, so tell me about track and field. Did you primarily do track and field? Because they don't intersect, right? Track and football, you could do both.
Yep.
Yeah. So what position did you play in football? Just out of curiosity.
So football is wide receiver.
Okay.
Wide receiver. I was kind of a special teams guy.
Yeah.
Punt return, kick return, and wide receiver. I don't know if I ever really made any impressions on anybody for defense.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was more on the offensive side of the ball.
Okay. And track, you said you were hurdles.
Yep.
And the reason I'm I want to highlight track a little bit more because I mean it really took you places, right? I mean track was like your primary sport.
Yep.
So tell me how you progressed in high school, and I'd like to know a little bit about like how you got noticed from colleges and how you ended up at college and how you picked that college. Because I'm really curious because I've asked other people that question that played at D1 schools, and it's interesting why they chose what they chose. So fire away.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me coming out of high school was there was options. So I got recruited to go play football. I had went to I don't know if it was in the summer. Yeah, it must have been a summer camp in Colorado. And Rich Neuhauser was the coach there, and he had just came from UCLA. And he told me, he said, "You look just like JJ Stokes." And I was like, "Oh, okay." But at that time, Colorado, so Michael Westbrook, Cordell Stewart, Rashawn Salam, Eric Bieniemy. The big names were already there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, Michael Westbrook was bench pressing like 405.
Yeah.
As a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not that. So it really took me. Ted Johnson was a linebacker there.
Yeah.
He played for the Patriots, I think, had a
Yeah.
good career. But it was just like, I'm not college material. Like football is a different sport at that level. And I was like, I can't play football here.
Was Michael Westbrook like a senior by the time you got there, or junior? Because he played for the Packers or something, right? I think he went and played receiver.
Did he play? He played for the Redskins, maybe.
Might have been. Yeah.
I think he played for Washington, and maybe another team. I didn't really follow him after college, but yeah, he might have been a junior going into a senior when I was coming in.
Man.
He was a full grown man.
Yeah.
A full grown man.
Yeah.
And I remember he told me, he's like, just take everybody and sit them on a pylon. He's like, grab them and put them on a pylon.
That's cool.
And he legit was doing that. He was grabbing DBs and he would just run them to the end zone.
Wow.
He's like, I'm going to block him all the way till I hit a whistle. And if I don't hit a whistle, I'm putting him on a pylon. I was like, okay, that's how we do that.
That's kind of scary.
But I mean, he was bench pressing 400 pounds. And I was like, wow, okay, that's different.
Yeah.
And so it really like kind of shook me a little bit about college athletics, college football, more in particular. So I was like, I think I want to run track.
Yeah.
And so I started just looking for what would that mean for me to run track. And then even on the track and field side of things, it was really competitive. Mm-hmm. And so
I can imagine, yeah.
I mean,
at that level.
Everybody's fast, right? Everybody's good. And so I ended up actually going to a junior college and staying home. So I was like, I want to stay. I had a couple offers. There were partial offers where I'd have to either take out loans or get student aid or whatever to go and either run for Missouri or run somewhere in California and do these different things. I was like, if I stay home, everything's paid for. So I'm doing that.
Yeah.
So I stayed home and I was at Pima Community College.
Okay.
And ran track. Had a really fun time. Just in all, like junior college is where it's at.
Yeah.
I think everybody should go. So academically, you're going to get better attention. You're going to get more help if you need it. Yeah. There's a greater, the classroom sizes are more similar to what you had in high school versus walking into an auditorium of 300 kids and, okay, we're going to do physics. It's like, what? And the test is like 4 questions.
Wow.
Whereas in junior college, it's going to be 15 questions and you can ask. I mean, I had a really good experience. And so staying home was my kind of my forte. I kind of liked the fact that things were a little bit simpler and I could take heavier course loads and not have to worry about other things that I have to adjust to. So I chose to stay home.
That's great.
I was like, I'm just going to stay here and, build my career or whatever that may be. And so it was just, it made more sense to go to U of A than to try to go anywhere else. And so U of A transitioned the best, the easiest. And at that time, I wanted to go into sports medicine. And so I was in sports medicine. I was working like as an athletic trainer.
Yeah.
So at Pima, I was an athletic trainer for Pima where I was taping ankles and doing all the things, ice and water bottles. So working a basketball game, working the soccer games, traveling with the teams and doing that sort of stuff.
Is that like an internship that you're doing?
It was an actual class.
Okay.
So it was an actual class. It was an athletic training class. And basically at that time, to be an athletic trainer, you had to work so many hours. So I think you had to work 1,500 hours or maybe 1,000 hours to actually apply to go to NAU or SDSU. So some of the bigger universities that you can go into sports medicine and become a certified athletic trainer.
Yeah.
They've now switched it to where now you either have to go to those schools, a 4-year school, and get in a 4-year program, or come out of an accredited 2-year program like an AT Still or something that's going to give you that solid foundation. And so you can't just work your hours anymore.
Gotcha.
But at that time, I was just trying to build hours because I wanted to be an athletic trainer.
Yeah.
And so I was also still running track. So I had transferred over to U of A and I was still working as an athletic trainer.
Wow.
Trying to be, I'm going to be an athletic trainer.
At Pima?
At Pima. So I was working at Pima, but I was going to school at U of A.
Yep.
And then I ended up not running track right away for U of A. And then I said, you know what? I do want to run track.
Yeah.
And so I was what they call unattached.
Yep.
So as an unattached athlete, you go to all the invitationals, you go to anything that is an open meet, and you can compete. And so this was 99, looking to try to figure out, do I want to go to the Olympics? So the Sydney Games were coming up, and it's like 2000. 2000 was the Sydney Games. After that was Athens. After that was Rio, London, China. And so I have all these Olympic years in my brain. But I was also like, so track and field is not the most illustrious, and you're not going to make a whole lot of money doing it unless you're really good.
Yeah, you get a lot of attention. You get a lot of attention.
You get a lot of attention.
I watch the Olympics to watch the track and field.
I mean, track and field is it's hailed as the Olympics, right? We want to see people run really fast.
Who's the next whomever, right?
Right.
We're going to see it on the track.
And at that time, 96 had just passed. So Atlanta was Michael Johnson, and the Olympics were still hot here in America.
Yeah.
The fastest people were already Americans. And so for me to squeeze into that, coming out of college or coming out of high school into college, and now I'm in the middle of my college career and I want to start to compete at a national level, the fastest people in the world at that time were Americans.
Yeah.
So Americans were kind of running the show coming off of Atlanta and that whole momentum. And so it was like, I had to make a decision. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm just going to choose my career. I was fast, but I was like top 15 in the nation, which you need to be top 3, top 2.
Top 15's not bad. That's pretty good, man.
It was like looking back, it's like that was actually pretty good, but it wasn't good enough.
Right.
You know, everybody was running the speeds that I was running, and I felt like I had reached my capacity for speed. And when you get to a certain level, like this is all I have, like to cut a second off your time.
A second?
I mean, or not even a second. At that point, I think the world record was 12.9. I was running like a 13.3.
Wow.
So I needed to run a 13.1.
Wow.
Right. So 0.2 of a second.
Yeah.
And it's like, you got to run a perfect race, perfect start, perfect. Everything's got to be perfect.
Yeah.
Just to like get considered.
Right.
Now you got to actually like be extra perfect because now you want to win.
Yeah.
So it just, it wasn't there.
Yeah. So we're so spoiled because we get to see like the main event all the time.
Right.
You know, that's the only thing that's televised.
Right.
And we don't see the
other guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, I was thinking about this during the COVID year, because the COVID shutdown happened right as spring training was happening for baseball players.
Right.
And I always think about, I don't think about like the big leaguers, and like they have their jobs. They have contracts or whatever. I always think about the bubble guy who's like, man, this could be my year. And that year passed.
Oh, yeah.
And then the following year passed. And that guy's probably gone. He's probably stocking shelves.
Didn't get a shot.
You know, didn't get a shot.
It. Yeah.
And it just makes me so angry that happened to that guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and you probably see that in your job now.
Oh,
don't you?
all the time. That same year, the seniors, right? The seniors that were trying to go to college, and then there was like a pause.
Yeah.
But I'm not a senior anymore. And I was going to go be a freshman at Oklahoma University.
Yeah.
But the spot that was going to be available for me is not there anymore. It's not available. Because that kid didn't move on. Nobody moved on. But they still graduated.
Yes.
So they like graduated and had to start life. And it's like, I was supposed to go play ball, but I can't because everybody got an extra year.
Yeah.
Right? So the seniors were going to leave. Well, no, they're going to stay because they didn't play their senior year.
Yeah.
So they're staying. So everybody got pushed back. And it was like that. But you graduated from high school. You're done.
Yeah.
You're not going to do another year of high school.
No.
And that's that gap, those kids were caught in the middle.
Yeah, the bubble kids, man. It's like, you know, how many opportunities were missed? How many? It makes me angry, but I mean, it is what it is, man.
Yeah,
it sucks.
Crazy.
And you know, hopefully those kids, whoever they are you know, finding something else that they can pour their hearts into, because you know, they don't have a school that's going to support them, you know, athletically, right? They're not going to get the trainers. They're not going to get the, you know, the weight rooms. They got to pay for all that themselves if they want to go back and try to get a shot.
Right.
That's expensive, man.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah, because schools don't have money. They don't have scholarships to give you because I'm still giving it to this kid.
Right.
He didn't leave, so your scholarship is not available.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you can still come, but you got to pay your way.
Yeah.
Good luck.
I wonder how many people lost their shot.
That's an interesting stat.
I'm
because
I'm
it's out there.
Yeah.
It's definitely
I
out
bet
there.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about unfair advantage. I'll give you a perspective from my. I'll give you a little bit of my perspective. You invited our team, the entire team, to come out and do a recovery session with you.
Yeah.
And it was not what I expected. Okay. The facility's fantastic, man. You have a great facility.
Thank you.
It's really beautiful. And I expected, like, you know, all right, get in the tub, somebody holding me down in this ice tub. But I think the first thing that we did when we walked in was we did a little bit of stretching. We did some, you called it something with the baseball, some release.
Some myofascial release.
Myofascial release. Yeah, we did that, and then we laid still, and you played some music, and we did breathing exercises.
Yes.
And then you said, okay, you've just done everything you need to know to survive an ice tub, and I'm like, huh. Okay, you know, but had I done that on my own, I'd have just toughed it out and shivered, and you know. But you taught me how to breathe and how to breathe through it, and I think I did 3 rounds in the ice tub. One was 3 minutes, one was 5 minutes, and then I did 7 minutes.
Nice, yeah.
And I was it wouldn't have happened had you not done that.
Huge.
Yeah, that breathing exercise. So tell me, and I say this because I'd like to hear when somebody forget about professional athletes, just a regular person just trying to compete against themselves at the highest level possible. They walk through your doors. What's the first thing you do with those guys?
So the first thing is just assessing where they are. Okay. Right. And so, and the assessment is going to be dynamic. So I want to look at how you move and I want to look at how you stand at rest, because how you do anything is how you do everything. So I'm going to look at how you fight gravity standing still. How do you fight gravity when you're running, walking, jogging? So very simple, very basic, and understand the things that your body's compensating for based on your current situation.
Yeah.
So from there, we start to just look at, okay, so now we see where you're at. We see what you're dealing with. We see what kind of compensations you have, what dysfunctions. And I say dysfunctions as I hurt my right shoulder, so I started functioning differently because of that.
Okay.
And so that shows up as a dysfunction, right? It's not the way it should be functioning, but you're working around it. So those workarounds, we kind of want to go back and establish a baseline of what is neutral, what is your ground zero, and let's build from there.
Yeah.
Both in your body, so dynamic, so working out wise, and then your breathing, your food, and then your rest.
Wow.
Your rest and recovery.
Yeah.
So a large part of what we do at For Advantage is not to just work you out, but really address what we call our 4 pillars, which is how you process food, how you breathe, and then your workout, the blueprint or the roadmap to get you to where you want to be at, and then how do we recover and get your body to be able to do that on a consistent basis every day.
Okay.
So those 4 things is food, movement, breathing, and recovery.
So walk me through the methods you use for the assessment, the physical assessment.
So, I mean, it's just going to be a video analysis. So we're going to video how you move, how you walk, how you run. And then we're going to take 4 pictures straight ahead, the right side, left side, back, standing still, and then analyze those pictures in slow motion. So your video is going to be in slow-mo. We're going to look at what happens when your foot hits the ground and how does that energy translate all the way up to your head.
Wow.
And then from there, we do it from left to right. We look at you from the side. We look at you from the front. We look at you from the back running and try to just really look at what's happening asymmetrically. So left side, right side, and how does that show up? When we look at your static pictures, like how you are standing, we can see, all right, look at your right shoulder. That showed up when you were running. So how you stand is how you stand, right? But I'm taking a picture of you, so some people kind of I'm going to get right. I'm going to, you know what I mean? Right. How I look.
Yeah.
But when you're moving, you can't do that.
Right.
Right. There is no, let me look right. Let me put on the best running form I have. It's going to show up how it shows up. And so all of those things become very apparent. And we kind of just match those 2 together. Okay. Right. We kind of just look at, here's how you stand. Here's how you move. If we can address how you stand, you're going to move better. So we start to just really, if you can do it really slow, then you can do it really fast. And so we kind of just take those 2 and run them together.
So is it like a posture thing? Like you're looking at their posture, you're looking at their shoulders? I mean,
Okay.
Yeah,
100%. We're looking at the posture. We're looking at how your skeleton is holding up your muscles and vice versa. And what's working to keep you at neutral.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a posture. I think we fight gravity enough to stand up, but there's even more that you can do to help your body breathe better and move better.
Yeah.
And so we look at it from a postural standpoint as well as flexion, activation, all those things. So posture, I want to say posture, but I don't want to just blanket it as that because whenever we say posture, it means something to somebody, right? I say posture, fix your posture. It means something to all of us. Like I'm going to stand up straight. I'm going to pull my shoulders back. I'm going to tuck my tailbone. I'm going to do all these different things.
Yeah.
And it's more than that.
Okay.
So yeah, it's definitely a posture analysis, but it's deeper than that individually.
Okay. So, when people walk into my jiu-jitsu academy, I can take a look at him and be like, oh, that guy's about 215 pounds. I can be like, that guy's about 185 pounds. Can somebody walk into your place and be like, oh yeah, I see what I'm working with?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What are the telltale signs?
I think, I just walk out. I just look how they move, how they walk.
Yeah.
I just watch their feet. I watch their hips, watch their shoulders, watch their arms. And I'll do this, in Costco, in Target. I'm watching people and I'm like, whoa. Even my wife is like, did you see? I'm like, I saw it. He's like, look at their knees. Yeah. And it's funny because a large part of it, I used to look at weight and I used to look at losing body mass and those types of things. I used to train for what I wanted versus what the person was presenting.
Oh, I see.
And that was a big thing for me to just be able to really analyze what's going on in the person. Why are they that way?
Yeah.
Why are they carrying their weight that way? And how do we change how they carry their weight? And oftentimes, if we change that, the weight takes care of itself.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's really interesting, and it's counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Right. It's not what people will expect, but I definitely do size people up and look at them. It's like, okay, I see what we're dealing with.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you talk to people like I can only specifically talk about jiu-jitsu, right? I mean, I'm not, that's probably the pinnacle of my athletic career. I mean, other than I did triathlon for a while.
Okay.
But if you take triathlon, if you take jiu-jitsu, if you take, anything that I've done for a long time, it all involves like kind of rolling my shoulders, right? Rounding my back.
Yeah.
And I always tell people like good posture in real life is bad posture in jiu-jitsu, because when your shoulders are back and you're standing tall, you're susceptible to being moved, right? So you want to get, want to get crouched. And do you see that in wrestlers and stuff? And how would you correct, because these are habits, right? Like I roll my shoulders forward out of habit. Like I walk that way. I live that way. Yep. But it's mostly because I'm always curled up trying to keep people off of me.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So what would be a method to correct something? Like if you were talking to a jiu-jitsu person who just said like, hey, I got to do something about my back and shoulders.
I think a large part of it is we have to find balance, right? So it's okay to be in a dominant whatever. Baseball players are only going to swing a bat one way.
Yep.
Right. They're only going to throw a ball one way. But how do we find balance? Every once in a while, we have to do something different. And our society is set up to such a way that our phones are here, our computers are here, we drive here, we eat here. We're very front loaded, right? So everybody's dealing with these rolled shoulders and a forward head and all of these things. It's just now, when do I have an opportunity to get into my posterior, into the posterior, the back? I got to start to do things backwards just to find balance. Yeah. It's not in one sense to create a more dominant side. I want to, create this as my new normal. Yeah. No, because I don't live there. I live here. Yeah. And it's okay to live here, but I have to visit some other areas and other regions of my movement as well. So I'm sorry.
But I was going to ask you, do you find the reason for that is because maybe things atrophy when you don't use them, or is that what's happening when I'm crouching forward and not visiting the back like you said?
I think it's two things. So atrophy, and you become fixed. Your body wants to help you survive. And if that's your survival mechanism and your body says, oh, that's what we're going to do? Okay, cool. We're going to plaster that area up. We're going to fix you into this position to help you do that better. Yeah. And now you get stuck. So not only is there atrophy or a loss of muscle tissue to activate to get out of that, your body doesn't even want to go out of that because now you're fixing yourself. You're telling your body, we're reinforcing this idea that this is better for me. This is my survival. And your body wants to help you do that more. So people who sit down a lot, great. We're going to plaster your hips. We're going to make it to where you sit down really good. Same thing for people who stand up a lot. Oh, great. We're going to make it so you can stand up really. And so all of these things, there is no good or bad. It's just a matter of how much do we revisit the opposite of that.
Gotcha.
So I don't continue to, in one sense, what's the word? I want to say aid and abet. It's not aid and abet. What is the word?
There's one way. That's one way to say it.
You're aiding and abetting your bad posture, your bad technique.
Yeah. You're reinforcing bad technique.
Enabling. Enabling. Now you're enabling this thing to become more of who you are, and then it becomes a dysfunction. Yeah. Right? It becomes something that you compensate for when you want to get out of that position, when you need to have better posture and you can't.
So it basically, it robs you of range of motion.
Yes, 100%.
Wow.
100%.
And okay, so as a almost 50-year-old that's been robbing himself of range of motion, how difficult is it? Like if I were to say tomorrow, like this is it, I've had it, I want to get range of motion. I know each individual's different, but on average, how long would it take somebody to get their range of motion back after living that way and really, like you said, you almost lock your body in, right? You're molding your body in that way. Yep. How long would it take somebody to be like, oh, my shoulders are better, I feel a little bit more fluid? How long does that take?
If I had to really put a number to it, just for the sake of our conversation, I would say 45 days to maybe 60 days. So 2 to 3 months.
Okay.
But then it just depends on how much are you willing to dive down that rabbit hole. Yeah. Right. Are you going to do the things necessary dietarily? When tissue is fixed in a certain direction, we have to now go in and release it. So there's myofascial release, right? There's release techniques. Yeah. Rolling out with a foam roller, a softball, baseball, a crossball. But there's also some enzymes. You can start to create a better environment for your body to now release those areas. And so the people who do that the best, the people who are willing to make those sacrifices nutritionally, physically, and start to really get better rest and recovery, I mean, you can speed that up. Okay. Right? You can get that to be in a month or so.
Yeah. So you mentioned myofascial release, and that is something that I hadn't even heard of until I met you. And can you kind of describe what that is? Because you described it as almost like like your muscles are wrapped in a material, and you're actually expanding that material to allow your muscles to. Am I on the right track there?
Yeah, your muscles are wrapped in a sheath, right, or a sleeve, if you will, of connective tissue.
Yeah.
And that connective tissue goes throughout your entire body, and this is your fascia. So your fascia encapsulates all of your muscles and even the muscle fibers. Now, when we want to release that tissue, we want to go in and start to cause some fluidity. We want to start to. So instead of being stuck together where that sheath or that sleeve is stuck to the muscle, we want to now, by adding pressure and by adding some type of mechanism in there, it could be a lacrosse ball, or it could be somebody's finger. It could be these things to now force that area to now bring in nutrients. So fluid starts to rush into the area, right? So blood flow gets increased, and now you start to break up that monotony, and it creates a very viscous environment. So now the muscle can slide against that fascia, and it's not stuck. Gotcha. So in a large part of what's happening is tissue becomes dehydrated. And I'm not talking about drinking water, because you and I both know we drink a gallon of water right now, we're going to be peeing all night. So a large reason why that happens, if you can imagine that fascia being knotted up, so it's like a trash bag. And you tie a knot in that trash bag and pour water in the top of the trash bag, it's going to stop at the knot. Our knots symbolize our tissue that's been fixed or dehydrated. So the rest of that tissue, the rest of that plastic bag beyond that knot does not get any hydration. But I come in and I do myofascial release, and that releases the knot. That opens up that tissue. Now the bag, it's a rubber band. It's not a rubber band. The plastic bag is open, and now fluid can flow all the way down to the bottom. So you literally are hydrating your tissue. You're bringing awareness to your brain that area was dehydrated, and now you have that viscosity. Now you have fluid movement.
Can that be achieved through other methods other than, because I'll be honest, the reason I don't do the lacrosse ball every day is because it freaking hurts. But I mean, does foam rolling do the same thing, or massage?
I mean, so foam rolling, massage, there's a number of different techniques that are going to help your body release that tension and start to, do its own myofascial release. I honestly believe the best thing for myofascial release is good biomechanics. If you're creating a demand in the right form, technique, if your body's moving the way it should force your body to release, right? So if I'm rolled here, but I start to carry myself in a better posture over and over and over again, eventually your body's going to say, okay, in order for this to happen, we got to release some tension in our chest.
Gotcha.
We've got to release some tension in my hips to start to get to a better position. So ultimately, biomechanics, if you're moving correctly and if you're moving often enough, which I believe jiu-jitsu does, honestly. I really think that causes you to get into positions you've never been in.
Yeah,
a lot of tension.
By force sometimes.
Right? it's do or die. And so you end up doing things that you normally never would do. You're in positions, you're inverted, you're backwards, you're being stretched, and there's a tension that you're creating that's not lax, it's not slack, and it's myofascial release. So in and of itself, doing certain movements biomechanically and ranges of motion that are beyond where you would normally be at are great myofascial release techniques. Outside of a lacrosse ball, outside of a foam roller, outside of just really good movement consistently can create some release techniques in and of itself. So
you brought it up, not me. So let's talk about jiu-jitsu a little bit, because you and I are teammates. We trained under the same under the same instructor. And what brought you to jiu-jitsu?
That's a good question. So born and raised in Japan. I never did a single martial art.
No kidding.
Never, ever.
Did your friends? Do you have a bunch of friends?
All my friends did. And I used to pretend that I was like this ninja. We used to run through the boonies. We called it the boonies. It's basically the woods, the jungle in Okinawa. But we'd put on these ninja outfits, and we'd run around, and we'd have these little missions. But we never, ever did like a legit. I mean, there was every dojo you can think of. We had Kenpo. We had karate, taekwondo, judo. There really wasn't a whole lot of jiu-jitsu back then. I don't remember seeing jiu-jitsu, but all the other major or
striking arts mostly.
More stand-up stuff that you would see. Very traditional to Japan. We're everywhere, and so I never really thought that I belonged there.
So 13 years.
Not once.
Wow. Okay.
Fast forward, I'm here in America, and it got to the point where I was training one of my clients, and he's like, oh, my instructor. I was like, your instructor for what? He's like, oh, my fighting instructor. I'm like, ooh, that's cool. He comes to your house, and he had a guy who was coming over there and teaching him some striking, teaching him some Jeet Kune Do. So JKD, Bruce Lee's fighting style, and I was like really intrigued with Bruce Lee at that time, and I was like, wait, what? Like Wing Chun and the whole night? He's like, oh yeah, we do knife fighting and all this stuff. I was like, yo, I need to meet this guy. I need to meet him. And so lo and behold, this guy was doing jujitsu. He was doing stand-up and he was doing stuff on the ground. And it was way on the north side of Phoenix, like 45 minutes from where I was at. And I was like, I'll go up there. So twice a week I was going up there just to kind of find my groove. And there was first responders that were there. There was guys. Everybody was self-defense is what it was. Like we didn't have belts. We didn't have like, any type of ranking system.
It was a club.
It was a club.
Yeah.
Everybody was coming in there. You were just working out. We'd do stand-up sometimes. We'd do takedowns sometimes. There was really not a whole lot of like, we're working on this particular thing. And then that grew until we started doing a lot of ground stuff. And I started looking around. I'm like, hey, there's a jiu-jitsu school right over here. I think I might join. And I remember he was like, oh, yeah, you can go over there. You might get hurt. Be careful. Yeah. And I was like, well, okay, I'm not going to go over there. And then he was doing some training out of my facility. He was training at our gym and doing some stuff there. And then he went to another location. When he left, I was like, what now? Well, through that training underneath him and with those guys, I met David Blau.
Oh, okay.
So David Blau, black belt, is in there, and he's like, hey, you ever put on a gi? I'm like, no. Yeah. I'm not wearing a sweatshirt and pants to go fight you. Why would I do that? I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And you're wearing a jacket. Like, come on. Why would I do that?
Dude, yeah.
He's like, just try it. Come on over. I got a gi for you. He gave me this XXX gi. I'm like, yo, man. But it fit. Hilarious. Ironically enough, I tied the pants and I was like, oh, this actually works out.
Nice.
And I was just like, I kind of like this thing. So he brought me over to Nava's, and that was 2018.
Okay.
And that was my first time ever wearing a gi.
Wow.
I didn't know how to tie my pants, didn't know how to wear a belt, didn't know how to wear anything.
Yeah.
And we're in running circles, and Martinez is yelling at us, and I'm like, what's going on? Yeah. It's 6 a.m.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. I was teaching the zombie crew.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
So the zombie crew is my first real introduction to jiu-jitsu as an actual art form. Solely, we're going to work on defending yourself from the ground.
Wow.
And so, yeah, that was 2018, and I fell in love with it ever since.
Yeah, it was, one thing I remember about you specifically is, obviously you're a white belt, but you were grasping concepts. I guess, I didn't know anything about your background. I didn't know about Japan. I didn't know you were D1, track runner. I didn't know any of that. But, the one thing I can remember about you is how coachable you are. And I mean that in the most complimentary way possible, because you were like, hey, if I said, hey, try this, you would try it. Hey, let's do this, you would do it. And I remember, like, we were talking about scrambling and getting people in your closed guard. I was like, if you want to slow them down, get them in your closed guard. And you and I rolled, and you put me in your closed guard, and I thought my ribs were going to break. You have the strongest legs. You have the strongest legs. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, he's got to get tired of doing it. And you didn't. No. I thought you were going to get tired. You didn't. And you were just a super athlete, and really good for the team. Like, you were, very approachable. You worked with everybody, and you never really talked about yourself, which is like really cool. I think that's really cool, especially with all your experience and everything you got, which is why when I went to your facility, when you invited us there, 10 seconds into what you were showing us, I'm like, this guy is a genius. Like, he knows, like, he's forgotten way more than I know about health and recovery and all that stuff, because you started talking about, just like we did today, you're talking about range of motion, you're talking about, nutrition, you're talking about hydration, but I had no idea that you combined all of that in your facility. Like, 100%. You put that all together for your clients.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
How do you do it? Like, what do you use? Like programs that help you? Or?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And so, initially, and it's funny because the name Unfair Advantage, it came from somebody who basically told me, like, you give me an unfair advantage.
Wow.
I was like, whoa. Wow. Say that again?
Awesome.
What? Huh? And he's like, and then you give it to my kids.
Yeah.
He's like, this is not just for me, but I can use this in my family. And I was like, how?
Yeah.
He's like, well, our food, our movement, our breathing, all these things, like, nobody's talking to us about that.
Yeah.
That is what every parent wants for their kid, is to have an unfair advantage.
Yeah.
Instantly, I changed the name of the company.
That is, what was it called before?
No Excuses.
No Excuse. Okay, that's still good. That's
it was
Unfair Advantage is way better.
Way better.
I'd have charged you like at least $100 or something to do that. That name's mine.
Oh man. And so I was like, that's that. And so in that, I started to really find, like, my real unfair advantage is finding ways that are going to help me continually give people an unfair advantage.
Yeah.
And so there are apps that do posture. There's apps that will align and tell me how much out of alignment your spine is, your neck is, your rib cage, your pelvis, your hips, your shoulders, your knees, all of these things. And so we put you into that app and we start to get some analytics that shows how much of a deviation your neck is to one side or the other, your shoulders higher than the other. And I use that app to now feed into what is the program going to be.
Yeah.
Because essentially everybody starts off in a corrective state. We kind of want to get you to your zero, right? Not where I'm at, not where she's at, not where he's at, but let's deal with your body before we start adding in a bunch of load or creating a demand that's only going to exacerbate all of the things that we saw in your assessment.
Okay, so you're correcting the deficiencies, like you said before you add weight or anything like. Wow.
But at least to just give you a frame of reference.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't do that forever, but at least you're going to know in that first week, 2 weeks, what I'm talking about when I say go back to neutral and start there.
Okay.
Now come back. Now we can rotate. So we now have a commonality and a framework that we can work within where you understand what it looks like. Okay, I don't know how to do that move. That's crazy, but let me get to neutral.
Yeah.
Boom. Got it. Nobody lives in neutral. Nobody walks around with perfect posture.
Right.
But it's our zero. And it's the point that I'm going to have you rotate around, up, down, side to side, forward, back, find neutral, get out of it with strength, come back to it with tension, and keep moving.
Yeah. Yeah. So you had mentioned, parents wanting an unfair advantage for all of their kids. Mm-hmm. What's the typical kid that comes up to you? Is it mostly student athletes that come to you?
It is, and to that point, it's the kid that doesn't play a lot. The kid that's not the star, right? The kid that's not the best on the team.
I love that.
But the one who's willing to work.
Yeah.
And I've tried everything. I need something else to give me that edge.
Yeah.
I want to get on the field this year. I want to get on the court this year. I want to play. I want to submit more people this year.
Yeah.
What's going on? I need an unfair advantage. I need something that's catered to me, right? That plays on my strengths and amplifies my weaknesses so to the point where they become my strengths. And now I can get better.
Dude, how can you not want to do that every day? That's
right?
fantastic.
That's training.
Yeah, that's training, man.
Yeah.
That's like that. I never thought about that. Like, most kids would either give up or find something else.
Yep.
But this kid's like, like your example with baseball. This kid, hey, I'm in a bad situation. I came into a school that no one knows me, but I want to take that shortstop's job. Mm-hmm. Can you show me how to do that?
I want to do that.
That's awesome, man.
So not the star athlete, not the best coordinated kid.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, and a lot of times I get a lot of kids, a lot of student athletes that are playing, but they lack confidence. They lack this mental capacity to support that idea that they want. So they always hear about the mind-body connection, right? My mind and the mind-body connection. When is your mind not connected to your body, right?
Never.
But a large part of that is that in my vision, I want to be this kid or I want to be this athlete, but I know I'm down here.
Yep.
Help me bridge the gap.
Wow.
And bridging the gap, getting the mind to support what the body needs to do and the body to now match up what the mind is thinking.
Wow.
It's really what creates an unfair advantage. That's where it becomes unfair.
How cool is it to be a kid with that much self-awareness?
That's it.
Holy crap.
That's it.
Wow.
So the confidence level, all those things, the anxiety, the depressive thought process, and depression and anxiety, I think, on the same spectrum, just opposite ends.
Yeah.
Right. I'm super anxious because I'm nervous. I'm not as good. Or I'm depressed because I'm super anxious. I'm not as good. But if we can find a way to where it's like, okay, your things that you're good at, we're going to amplify those and make those your unfair advantage. We're going to make that really unique to you, where you are the only person who can capitalize on that.
Yeah.
And the more you capitalize on that, the more you start to open up opportunities to strengthen your weaknesses.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is like you're more of a mentor than a strength coach. You really are.
Big time.
It's
Big time.
huge. That's fantastic, man. And do you use any kind of like what would you use for a kid who's like, man, kid's got all the tools. He's got all the tools. He's doing everything I ask him, but man, mentally he's not there. What do you give a kid that helps him with like mental fortitude?
I think a large part of the mental fortitude, I think, is coming from the ice.
Yeah.
Doing the ice bath and exposing your body to a high level of discomfort right now, immediately, and you got to deal with yourself.
Yeah.
So between that and then a couple of different tools that we have, so we have a very unique training device that's a neurological training device that deals with your balance, and it puts you in a state of fear. And fear is very powerful because we all experience it, we all know what it is, but you create situations out of nothing.
Yeah. And
if you create these situations out of nothing, you can create something else to now support something that's more positive.
Wow.
So we put you in a fearful state. And I always tell people this, there's no stability outside of instability.
Yeah.
I can't get you stable standing on something that's stable. That's weird. I got to put you in some real funky situations.
Yeah.
And when you master that funky situation, all of a sudden the instability becomes stable. The discomfort becomes comfortable.
Wow.
Now your mental fortitude just got better.
Yeah. Now standing in a batter's box doesn't seem that bad.
Yep. There's only one variable.
Dude, that's awesome, man. That is
it's
awesome.
really cool. And when people grasp it, I mean, I've seen kids in tears.
Yeah.
Because they got it.
Yeah.
They figured it out. In that moment, it snapped.
Yeah.
And it's happened for me before. You know, I'm no different. I still have to work on myself. I got dysfunctions. And there was a time, one of my jiu-jitsu tournaments, and I was like, it was the very end. You might remember this. It was Jiu-Jitsu World League and the gold medal match.
Yes.
Me and this guy.
No
gi. No, this is gi.
It
was gi. This guy was... He was phenomenal. He was a monster. His legs were tree trunks. And he was in my closed guard.
Yeah.
And he couldn't get out.
Yeah, of course.
But he took me down. Right? So he took me down with a collar drag, and I put him in my guard. I'm down 2-0.
Yep.
There's 20 seconds left in the match. And I was sitting there, and I remember what it was to be in the ice. And all the mornings I hated getting in the ice. But I did it anyway.
Yeah.
I did it, and I overcame. In that moment of the ice, that 3-5 minutes, I became better. And I thought about that. I looked at you. I looked at my wife. And I said, I was in that ice. This dude's not going to win. I climbed those back. 15 seconds left. Wait, it's 10 seconds. You got to get your hooks.
Yeah,
I had one hook in. I can climb into his back. Last hook in. Seatbelt. Paro.
Dude.
Won the match in the last. And it was not because I was a better jiu-jitsu practitioner that day. It was the ice. It was the mental fortitude that I built with those mornings of training and competition prep and getting in the ice. I didn't want to do it, but I did it anyway. There's a large psychological piece that comes with that type of training and that type of forcing yourself into being comfortable with the uncomfortable.
I am so fired up right now. I am so fired up right now.
Do you remember that match?
Yes, I do remember.
I was struggling. I was like, this guy was just in my guard, and I couldn't. He was passing, and I was like, no, I'm not going to let him pat. I couldn't figure out how to attack him.
Yeah.
Other than, I mean, I literally laid on the mat, looked to my side, and I was like, go to his back now. You just got to go.
You got to go. Yeah.
Yeah. And you said, got to go now. Wait is right now. 20 seconds. I remember. And so,
I do remember.
The ice is what did that for me. And I remember that, and I recall that, and I help people through that same, let's build your mental fortitude, desire. We're going to get into the ice, as well as some of the other modalities that we use. Yeah.
And you know, like, the cold, wet sucks.
Yep.
It's there's no other way to put it. Cold, wet sucks. But like I said before, you have a way of getting people. I don't know what it was. Like, you put me completely at ease because I did not want to get in that tub when I showed up, because I thought, open the door. Hey man, there's a tub. Jump in. Right.
Yep.
And that wasn't it at all. I mean, you took us through steps, and you said you basically taught us how to survive the tub before we even looked at it. I didn't know what it looked like.
Yeah.
But there was one piece. There was a 2-person tub that you had at the time, right? I don't know if you still have it.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting in it, and the other person got in. I can't remember who it was, but they kept moving. And I was like,
oh, man.
I was like, you move the water one more time. I'm telling you, man. So we're going to fight, because just that little movement.
Start over. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, and you got to breathe, you know, and it was so hard, man. Yeah.
It's a big thing. You know, the ice is on so many different levels. It really trains. And, you know, I really try to use the ice for breathing. Yeah. And I think as a trainer and as an athlete growing up, nobody ever talked about breathing. Nope. I was a track athlete. Nope. Like, how the hell are we not going to talk about breathing? Right? I mean, you can go a long time without eating. You know, just drinking water. You can fast and do all these things. You can go a long time without moving. Right? But you can't go very long without breathing. Yeah. Right? You got to breathe. You got to breathe. So we talk about movement, eating, and breathing is that one piece you can't skip. Yeah. You can't skip. And we don't talk enough about how to do it. And so when we get in these stressful environments, you don't know how to breathe, it's a wrap. Yeah. And so I think a large part of why I became who I am as a trainer and as a person was I started to really focus on breathing. Yeah. As a number one, and it's a mindset. Yeah. It takes a lot to practice your breathing. Yeah, and when it comes to jiu-jitsu, there's people ask me all the time, like, how do I improve my game? How do I get better? How do I get better? And, you know, I always talk about, number one, being physically fit. Mm-hmm. Because if you're physically fit, you can control your breathing. If you can control your breathing, you're in business. Yep. You really are. Yep. And the way I do it, it just helps me. The way I do it is I completely empty my lungs. Mm-hmm. Whenever I get in trouble, you'll hear me breathe out heavy. I breathe out heavy, because you're going to find a way to breathe in. Right? And then I breathe out heavy again, and I find a way to breathe in. Next thing you know, I'm relaxed. And I find, like, when I'm not tense and I'm in a flow state,
I roll so much better than when I'm like, I'm going to kill this guy. If I think about you when I'm rolling with you, I guarantee I'm going to make a mistake.
Big time.
When I think about me, I'm more than likely going to do the right thing.
That's it.
Right.
That's it.
And that breathing is so underrated. I'm
huge.
really glad you brought that up, man. So what are some of the things that jiu-jitsu has brought to you that you have now put into unfair advantage and taught people who may not be jiu-jitsu practitioners?
I think the biggest thing is understanding that your body's going to go to some positions that you haven't been in.
Yeah.
And in order for us to get better at movement, so not jiu-jitsu wise, but just movement in general, we got to explore some different positions you're not familiar with.
Yeah.
So the first time I try to do a berimbolo, or the first time I try to do something, it's like, I'm not doing that. How am I going to put my knee on his neck? It's on his torso.
Yeah.
You want me to spin around, grab his arm, and lay back an armbar? That's not going to happen. My knee in his armpit? No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
It's because you've never done it.
Right.
And if you've never done it, we're actually probably doing something right. And so when we're training, if I can expose you to positions you've never been in, you get better.
Yeah.
And it's the same with jiu-jitsu. I want to start to explore some positions I haven't been in to get better.
Wow.
And I don't need to do a whole lot.
Yeah.
Right? I don't need 15. I don't need 5. I don't need 3. I just need one thing to add to my game, to add to my movement. I just need one takedown that's better than outside of what I already do.
100%. Yeah.
And if I can get really good at that, you just need one rotational exercise movement that you can do to start to get your body moving in a better direction.
Yeah.
And so I think those are the parallels that I try to get. For somebody who's not even in jiu-jitsu, I tell them that, when I get into jiu-jitsu and I'm learning a new move, it feels really weird and awkward until I do it enough times where now it becomes a part of my game.
Yeah.
And this move we're about to do with this kettlebell, it's really different. It's really weird. It takes a lot of coordination, but when you do it enough, that's when it becomes part of your movement.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it, man, because I think, like for me, I was always of the mindset that, like, if you're going to get good at jiu-jitsu, you got to just do jiu-jitsu, period. Just do jiu-jitsu.
That's it.
But once I started incorporating weightlifting into jiu-jitsu, I've noticed my range of motion change.
Oh, big time.
I noticed my confidence level change because, like you said, you're doing hard things. And, it's really funny because poor Vin.
Vinny.
Dealing with me, first up, I complain the whole time.
Good.
And, yeah. But, and he's used to working with athletes that have some experience weightlifting. I was a chest tries, back buys guy back in the Navy, and he's talking about all these different movements, and you're gonna do a clean jerk press. I'm like, okay, so I know you said words. I have no idea
what
the
is
hell
that?
you said.
I don't know that.
But that's a pretty common thing. What do you tell somebody who looks at, because I've seen, if you guys have not gone to the Unfair Advantage Instagram website or anything like that and seen the movements that people do in your facility, it is not normal.
It's different.
I'm sorry, dude. It is not normal. There's this thing, it almost looks like an old school railroad car thing that people stand on, and you have them do these different movements. And how do you take an athlete that's, let's just say they're more than semi-successful, right? But they want that unfair advantage. They want to get to that next level. How do you say, hey, jump up on that thing and wiggle your feet until it starts moving and then swing a racket? And they're looking at you like, are you crazy?
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, what examples can you give them to say, hey, listen, this will help you because whatever. How do you talk them into doing those movements that they don't want to do or never done before?
I think, a large part is simple, that the brain controls what the body does. And this machine, this stabilization, that device you're talking about, you're going to get on this thing and you're going to tell your body what you want it to do, and it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's happened for you your whole life. You've made it to these levels of success, as an athlete, but you're going to get on this device and it's going to expose you. And I tell them this so that they understand to not get, because a lot of times ego steps in.
Yep.
Right? When I can't do something, I'm not doing this. I'm good. I can go do something. You got to be able to really understand that the brain controls the body.
Wow.
And if I can't control my body, then I can't really perform.
Yeah.
And so it becomes a conversation of what performance is and how we enhance performance. Because performance, if I'm a pianist, I'm playing a piano, and the chords are G, C, A, D, G, C, A, D, G, C, A, D. I need to play that in front of 1,000 people. But if I play G, C, A, B minor, wait, what? That's not performance.
Right.
Why? Because you told yourself to do something and it didn't happen. So the same thing is true. If I get on the mats and I tell myself to do something at a high level, I'm going to perform. I need to be able to tell my body what I want it to do, and it does it every time.
Wow.
So that's what that machine creates. It creates an opportunity for us to now have that conversation with the brain, talking to the body, do this, get your right leg going this way. Now change your right leg and go the other way. Don't change your left leg. Wait, no, go back. Your left leg changed. What happened?
Oh my gosh.
Go back, do it again and again and again until they get it and they do it and they're like, oh, got it.
Yeah. So and that would, I would imagine that would translate into their field of whatever performance, right? If they're a baseball player and they're having trouble with angles, maybe their body's telling them, oh, we can't get to that angle, but doing this machine has got them in their brain going, yes, I can. Right?
Yeah.
That's pretty wild, man.
It's the mind-body connection again, right?
Yeah.
Tell my body what I want it to do and it does it.
Yeah. So do you diagnose yourself? And do you build a program for yourself? Because okay, so this is the longest Watus has been around me where he didn't rip his shirt off. So how old are you, Watus?
45.
You're 45 years old, and I'm telling you, if you're 8% body fat, I'm surprised.
Probably 4.
4, yeah.
5.
Yeah, 5% body fat. You are ripped, man. You're and I'm not saying that like I'm not messing with you. Like just the amount of the amount of training that you do on your own and the things that you do to train your body, I'm super impressed because you'll put them out on Instagram and you're very generous with your information, by the way. I mean, you show a lot of stuff. It's really cool. But I remember watching you, and I don't know what it's called, but you know those it looks like a baseball bat, like a weighted baseball bat.
Mace club.
What's it called?
Mace club.
Okay, so a mace club. You were doing those swings with the mace club, but you were using a 45-pound bench press.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What are they? A barbell?
Yeah.
You were using a barbell. Dude. Really? I'm sitting there like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so I consider myself being in decent shape. I would throw my shoulders out, my back out. Like, how do you get yourself to that level?
You know, I don't work out. And I say this, you got to take it with a grain of salt.
I'm going to throw something at him if he says I don't work out.
So I'm in this root band group, and I mean, there's Navy SEALs in this group. There's guys that are training at a very high level.
Yeah.
I show up, and I'm burning 4,600 calories a day. Who the hell is this Waku guy, this Watus guy?
Oh, yeah.
And it's because I work out all day.
Yeah.
I'm training with my clients all day long that I really don't work out myself. I'm just constantly showing people to do the basics. I'm doing the basics on a continual basis.
Yeah.
And that's my workout. I wish I could work out like that. So randomly I will do something crazy. I pick up something and see if I'm still where I need to be at. But I don't really have I need a coach.
Yeah.
And I think everybody needs a coach.
Yep.
Right? The best in the world need a coach.
Absolutely.
The best tennis player, the best basketball player, the best football, the best jiu-jitsu, they all need a coach.
Yeah.
And so I need a coach to really help me get to where I want to be. And so a large part of that, I have to find, again, that balance. Talk about the balance of being rolled shoulders. I need to balance out my life and not spend so much time working on other people and maybe work on myself a little bit more.
Yeah.
I don't like to work on me. I'm a mess. I'm a mess. I am a hot mess.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, I feel the same way, man. Like I'm happiest when I'm teaching. And there are times when, you know, honestly, like it would be really easy for me to say, okay, this is the warm up, this is the technique. Now we're gonna roll. Oh, we're an even number. Okay, somebody's gonna have to sit out because I'm gonna get some rounds in. That's not what I do. Like if my students, if we have an even number, I'm sitting out. I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna watch and I'm gonna kind of take notes and see, you know, where my class is deficient because it's really funny because if you see it in one student, you're probably going to see it in 3 or 4, right? Okay, we're not doing this. You know, the hand position is wrong, the knee position is wrong, hip position is wrong. So maybe for a warm up next week, I'm going to start working on this so we can get our hand, hip, foot position right. So, but I'm really about, you know, my students. Like I want them to they take priority, which is I'm sure that the reason why you don't get a lot of workout time in.
Yep.
But so what are you doing in your business in order to kind of alleviate that? Because right now you are, you know, the window washer, head candle maker, you're everything at your business, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, do you have other trainers that come in and work with you? Okay. Yeah. Who do you have there?
So I have one other trainer, Eric Hummel is his name, and he is certified in the same certifications that I have.
Yeah.
He's worked at a high level. He was a college athlete, hockey player from Chicago.
Okay.
And he literally moved here. We met via Instagram. He kind of saw what we were doing. He's like, that's where I want to be. I'm coming there.
So cool.
Moved out here last May in the middle of summer.
He moved out to work with you?
Just to work at M for Advantage. And it was like the most humbling thing. I'm like, really?
Hey, you're doing something right, man. That's cool.
So bless his heart. This guy moved out here. He's one of the best trainers I've been around. He has a knack that I don't have, right? He's better than me when it comes to that. And that's what we always want to have around us is somebody who can do what I can't do.
Absolutely.
His conversation, the relationship that he's able to develop when he talks to clients, his communication is far better than mine.
Yeah.
Like we talk about, how do you get an athlete to do that?
Yeah.
He's able to communicate certain movements way better than me. And it's like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So Eric is probably my number 2 guy. He's my guy who handles everything. And at this point in my career, I'm trying to minimize the hats that I'm wearing, right? I'm trying to not wear so many hats around the facility and make it to the point where I can really amplify Eric and I can start to build a community around him and now start to really reduce Watus, get Watus out of those roles of doing everything.
Well, I think the real goal is if you're going to have 3 people there, you want 3 Watus.
Yep.
3 Watus guys, you know, and Eric, I'm sure, you know, as Eric progresses, right, you want to give him more responsibility, but have him build 3 more Erics, right? So you have Watus, Eric, and you can serve your clients, you know, a lot better, a lot more efficiently, and really focus on your business. Let me ask you this: what are you using to get people through the door? How are you get people through the door?
As far as marketing wise?
Yeah, marketing.
So we've worked with Academy Kings.
Okay.
So Academy Kings has been a great, they were probably the number one thing that brought people to our business.
Yeah.
They brought people to the building, they brought people in. And so we're working with them right now to make that happen. But a large part of my business has been built off of word of mouth.
Word of mouth. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. And I had Vin on the program in the last episode, and that's basically what he said. And you know, it made a lot of sense to me because I asked him, like, how do you find a trainer? How do you find the right person? And he says, find somebody who has a trainer already and then talk to them, because word of mouth is like, so, and you'll probably have some experience with this as well. He says you'll have some guys that are, you know, bring in clients and they charge them thousands of dollars and then they just move to San Diego out of the blue. And then their clients are like, hey, where's Jimmy? And they're at the facility and you're like, oh, Jimmy moved away. Didn't he tell you? No, Jimmy hasn't talked to me about that, you know? So it's good to have somebody like, hey, I work out with Watus, and I've been working out with him for 10 years and he's fantastic. And that's the kind of person you want, right? So, so for those of you that don't know about Academy Kings, I'm going to have Lance on the show soon. Yeah, I think we scheduled something like late September. Okay. But Academy Kings works with facilities such as yours, such as mine, and they help us with, at least from a jiu-jitsu standpoint, he helped us with marketing, sales, operations, delivery, curriculum, diet, everything. It's all laid out. Just learn these. Here's your videos. Learn it all and run with it. Yeah. And they take it a step farther. And I think we're going to 4 calls now. So we have 3 weekly calls right now. We have a sales call where we learn how to sell and fine tune our sales. We have a tech call where if you have any issues with like Facebook or ads or Instagram, stuff like that, they help you through the tech. And then we have a leadership call. And that's Thursday. Leadership calls with Lance, and he's like, you know, that's the nuts and bolts of it, right? Yep. Well, they're going to add a 4th call, which is operations. And gosh, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's Lance's business partner. And this is a guy, he's like super intense, and he was like an officer in the Navy, I think. Okay. And dude, the guy is brilliant. He's brilliant, man. Like from a leadership standpoint, right? So, you know, I asked him questions like, hey, from a leadership standpoint, how do you deal with your coaches, and how do you keep the team together? And he's like, man, do this, do that. And I'm like, it's just like jiu-jitsu. It seems so obvious when somebody shows you something, right? Yep. And then you're like, it's so obvious, but I never thought about that. So tell me how Academy Kings is kind of has they brought people in. Yep. But how do they because it's easy for me because it's all jiu-jitsu, but did they show you like deliverables and stuff like that? Did they help you with that?
When you say deliverables, you're talking about
like the product, your product, how to deliver it to the customer, or what are they?
Our product is unique. Okay. When we talk about fitness, or you talk about a gym, or you talk about training, right, working out, we're not just working out. We're not just training. We're going through a very exhaustive list of what it takes to actually get your goal. Yeah. Right. And a large part of that deals with the assessment, and it deals with posture. It deals with not what somebody would walk in and say, hey, we're doing 3 laps around the building, grab that tire, start pushing it, start sled, all this stuff. Yeah. And so a large part of the people are coming in and they're realizing, oh my gosh, I didn't know this existed. Yeah. I didn't know this was what I was getting into. Yeah. And so there's a huge break, like we're kind of pumping the brakes every time somebody comes in. We kind of pump the brakes, like, hey, here's what we're about. Yep. And so a large part of that, most of the world, most of the community, most of people in Academy Kings haven't really experienced. Yeah. And I get that because we are unique, and absolutely that's what the unfair advantage is we're not just a boot camp gym. Yeah. Right? We're not just bringing in the masses. We're very selective about who we work with. We want to work with people who are going to put in that work on their own.
Yeah.
And so that deliverable was, it's kind of bumpy at first, but we worked it out. You know, it was basically, we weren't doing a come one, come all. We're doing, if you are serious about your life and you want to optimize what you're doing, this is where you can come train.
Yeah.
And so, and I kind of just have to go through that sales process when people walk through the door. So a lot fell on me and how we really processed people and how we started to explain what it is we were doing.
Yeah.
And that sales process is where we needed the most help, to be honest, is like, how do we sell that? How do we explain that in such a way that people bought in and signed up and became our client?
Yeah. So, you know, that's something that I've done for about 20 years. I've done sales for about 20 years, and it's been, you know, in the commercial, you know, side. So it's not, you know, I'm not selling fitness, you know, but I'm selling other stuff. And there are some things that salespeople do that some people are not ready to do. Like, for example, when you're in sales and, you know, you got to talk about, you know, you got to build a little bit of a bond with the person you're selling to, first off. And once that bond is built, then you talk about their pain, right? And a lot of people go directly into what features and benefits. Like, hey, man, I'm going to get you in shape. I'm going to get you this. I'm going to get you that. You're going to be the Hulk. And you know, slow down. How's it? What? You know, they don't even trust you yet.
Right. I don't know you.
Yeah. So you really got to dig into that pain. For me, it's like, okay, so tell me about, you know, I always ask, hey, let's talk about you. What brings you in? And they're like, well, you know, I saw the ad. And I'm like, okay, well, what is it about the ad that you liked? Well, you know, I like the idea about learning jiu-jitsu. And well, what is it about jiu-jitsu that you like? And once you start digging into that little piece, they start giving you little nuggets, right? Like, one person was like, well, you know what? I was in a parking lot and a guy approached me in a threatening manner. Nothing happened, but I was threatened. And he goes, flat out, I was scared. And I was like, dude, we're all scared.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, but he's like, I was with my kid. I was alone with my kid. And I didn't know what to do. Like, if this became physical, I wouldn't know what to do. Now you found some real pain, right? Or you have the other person that says, I'm just tired of being 50 pounds overweight, and I want to do something about that right now, right? Yeah. Now you found some pain. Yeah. Okay, so what is it about being 50 pounds overweight that bothers you? Oh, man, I can't even play with my kids. So how is that affecting? How do you think that's affecting your kids? Well, they hate it because they want to play with me, and I can't even get off the bench at the park. Yep. You know, and you start digging into that why? How does that affect you? How is that affecting your family? And when you get somebody, like, the ideal is they're pounding on the desk going, I've had enough, right? Yeah. And Vin and I talked about this as well. You would be surprised how fast you can turn your life around once you've had enough.
100%.
Right?
Yep.
Right?
When it hurts bad enough, you'll change.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah. So, and when you dig out that pain and you start talking about money, it's an easy conversation. 100%. Right? I mean, I'm sure you find that in your business as well, right? You know, when there's a kid who's trying to make a team, or even an adult, right? I'm sure you work with professional athletes as well, or, you know, college athletes, and they're like, man, they're looking for that little piece, that 0.3 seconds.
That's it. Yeah.
That 0.3 seconds. You know, that's the easiest sell you'll ever make. Yeah. Right? But you just gotta figure out how to dig that out of them.
I think the biggest thing, you know, the struggle for my business is being able to get them there. I just need to have that conversation.
Yep.
Right. And a lot of the same pain points that you bring up, maybe I'm not in a parking lot where I feel like I'm threatened, but I want to play with my kids. I need to just lose this weight. Yeah. There's a chronic issue. There's a underlying thing that's been going on for a long time. Yeah. We hit on that, and it's not a sell. It's when do I start?
Yeah. Right? Yeah. When do I start? Like,
I need this. I want to get in. So
yeah, absolutely. And you know, for me, my goal, and I've said this over and over, my goal in life is I want to be a pain in the ass to my great grandkids. There it is. I want to embarrass them at school. Like, I want to be at all their plays. I have never seen a great grandparent do that. Right. I want to do that. Yeah. That's my goal. Yeah. Right. So it's funny because my daughter Kendall's going to get married in October, and I'm already talking about, like, hey, when are you going to give me a grandkid? You know what I mean? So I want one so bad. But anyway, yeah, man. So let's talk about I know some of these things may seem obvious, but to some people they're not. What are the long-term effects, right? The long-term effects of being, gosh, I hate to say not physically fit, but I guess really, like, physical fitness, in my opinion, is not optional, right? How do you get somebody to understand that, right, and do something about it? What would be your approach? Like, somebody, you look at them and you're like, man, I want to help that guy, but you know what I mean? Like, how would you explain to somebody, hey, what you're doing to your body is so bad that you're not going to live to see whatever? Like, how do you have that conversation with somebody?
Is this somebody I know or somebody that's
somebody
off the
you
street?
don't know, man? Somebody you just don't know. Like somebody, man, because I see it like in jiu-jitsu. Like, man, there's so many things that you can do, you know, that you don't even know you're capable of. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Isn't that hard for you? Like to see somebody like kind of, I hate
100%.
But yeah.
All the time. You know, and it's it's like if you were a barber and you see somebody with a bad haircut. It's like, like how do you have that conversation? It's like, dude, listen, this is what I do for a living. And I think a large part of it is I'm a walking billboard. Yeah. Right. So I take pride in the fact that my body I have to do that for myself if I'm going to help somebody else.
Yeah.
I really can't have that voice to somebody else if I don't have that for myself.
Yeah.
And, you know, I find commonality, and I think the biggest common thing that most people are doing that doesn't involve my gym or being at my facility is breathing and eating. And so it's like, hey, let me talk to you about what you're doing breathing wise or what you're doing eating wise. Has anybody ever taught you how to breathe? And like, wait, what?
Yeah, yeah.
So our main thing is I'm gonna teach you how to breathe, how to eat, and how to walk. These are very three basic functions the human body's been doing since they showed up.
Wow.
Right? You've been breathing, you've been eating, you've been moving your whole life. Let me show you how you can do it more efficiently. You can breathe better, you can eat better, and you can move better.
Yeah.
Would that be something to interest you? Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the person, that's the girl at Target. We bumped elbows. She's got her kids. I got my kids, and we're like, oh my gosh, the kids. And it's like, gosh, it's just they take the breath out of me.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, if I like sometimes I can't breathe. You know what? When's the last time you worked on your breathing anyway? Yeah. Like, wait, what? Huh? What are you talking to me about? Yeah, we're in Target, right? She's checking out. I'm checking out. That type of conversation is a real easy thing.
Yeah.
I'm at a restaurant. If somebody's eating something, how are you going to process that?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're only as good. I tell my wife this all the time. She says, you can't say that out loud. There's no such thing as healthy food.
Okay.
There's no such thing.
Explain that one.
If you don't process it, it's not healthy for you.
That's true.
Case in point, my body doesn't process protein very well. Why? Because I ate protein all my life. I got to the point where my body doesn't really handle protein. So your body only has a certain amount of enzymes or a capability of processing a certain category of food, right? So most athletes it's going to be protein. Why? Because I want to be bigger, faster, stronger. And if you start to process, eat protein shake, tuna can, chicken breast, salmon, fish, I'm doing all these things to build bigger muscles. Eventually, my body just stopped breaking down protein. Wow. And I start to get these arthritic symptoms. I start to get all these things and these aches and pains. It turns out I'm not processing protein. I'm building up uric acid, gout. All these things are coming from some type of excess unprocessed food. It could be diabetes. It could be high blood pressure. It could be all these things. They're related to how you eat and how you process your food. So if you're not processing carbohydrates very well, it's possible you can develop high blood pressure, high cholesterol. All these things come from not processing your food. So you're only as healthy as the food you process.
Wow.
It doesn't matter if it's roasted chicken breast, grilled salmon. It's protein for my body.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna have a hard problem. You're gonna have a hard problem because I'm gonna be gassy and I'm gonna clear the room. I'm good. It's everybody else.
The problem's mine now. Oh my God, that's funny.
You know, a large part of what we do is based on how our body can process our food. And these are conversations that I'll have with people.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Wow, I never thought about that." You know
I never thought about that.
I want to eat healthy.
Yeah.
Define that. Show me that. Where is it healthy?
Yeah.
How is it healthy? And each person is going to operate in that realm of healthy differently.
Wow.
Based on how you process your food.
Wow. So, okay. So aside from, getting diagnosed as like a diabetic or getting gout or something like that, how are some ways that people can understand how they process food? How do you do that?
You know, and there's a real quick answer is digestion. If you have bloated, if you feel like, oh, this makes me bloated, I can't eat that because I'm going to go right to the bathroom. Yeah. If you eat and go right to the bathroom, you didn't process your food.
Ooh, okay.
If you eat and go right to sleep, you didn't process your food.
Wow.
Why? Because if you ate food is to give you energy. How does it you ate and now you're sleepy?
Right.
You're not processing your food.
That's true, man. Yeah.
So those are the real basic ones.
Yeah.
Your body's always telling you, right? I got a stomachache last time I ate that, spaghetti sauce. Yeah, it's probably too acidic and it's causing you indigestion. I get heartburn. These are all indications. These are all gaslights in your car that you can't just put a piece of tape over the gaslight. You need to fix that.
Yeah.
You're about to run out of gas.
Yeah.
So that gaslight, the acid reflux, the indigestion, those are the key things that are telling your body you're not processing a certain substrate, a certain category of food. Yeah. And then you can get a blood workup. You can go and get your blood done. There's that side of things where you can really find out on a molecular level and a cellular level, what are you not processing? But your body's going to tell you right away.
Yeah.
Right away.
Isn't it awesome? Like even in just the past 10 years, how many tests we can take now that don't put you in the poorhouse?
I mean, right. I mean, it's readily available.
Crazy.
Readily available.
Genetically, you can find out what's
Right
good
now.
and what's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And you can change it.
Yeah.
Right? There's not like, oh gosh, I'm doomed. No. All this stuff you now know so that you can change.
Yeah.
So that you can make that adjustment.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's huge.
Dude, if you were to, gosh, somebody telling me like, no food is healthy.
Oh boy.
Right?
You heard it here first.
Right? You heard it from yeah. So
and that's the thing. There are good, better, and best.
Yeah.
Right? There's options that are better than others.
Yeah.
So there's a good option. So you're eating eggs. Great.
Yeah.
Well, grass-fed or range-free, pasture-raised, organic. There's good, better, and best of your eggs. You can get the 89-cent a dozen, or you can get the $7 dozen.
Yeah.
Right? Good, better, and best. You're eating
better,
eggs.
best.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're getting that. But now let's find the better and the best option of those healthy foods.
So when you're building I'm assuming you build a diet plan for your clients. Are you having them like log what they're eating currently, or how does that work? Like, how do you make that transition from healthier? I don't know what to say anymore. Like eating correctly, I guess. Eating the right foods for them, right? How do you make that transition for them?
I think ultimately is finding out what are their pain points, right?
Yeah.
What foods do you find that give you the most discomfort?
Yeah.
And then what are you currently eating? So if we want to get into it, so we have a private chef as a part of our organization. Is something everybody who comes in, you have an opportunity to sign up where I'll take care of all your food.
Wow.
So all your food's taken care of, all your movement's taken care of, all your recovery's taken care of. Now you can get to where you want to be at.
Yeah.
And that food is going to be locally sourced, grass-fed, certain things that are going to be based on where we are here in Arizona.
Yeah.
I think a large part of what we're missing on is we're getting food that's not part of our what is the word?
Like ecosystem,
Our
like
ecosystem,
in the area.
our biology is just different. You're eating stuff from New York, and it should be more Arizona based. And so, a large part of that food aspect and making a healthier choice or getting something that's more fit for your goals is going to be by tracking what you're eating. Okay, where are you currently at? And we can get into the macros and we can get into that sort of thing. But then making the best source of that protein, the best source of that fat, and the best source of that carbohydrate.
No kidding. Yeah.
So,
I never thought about it in that depth. I just like USDA, whatever, you know. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And you kind of take, gosh, man, you kind of take for granted that,
Oh, there's levels.
Yeah,
There's levels.
I'm not eating at rallies. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like, I must be eating good, but apparently I'm not. I'm depressed. This is the worst. That's probably the most important thing anybody's ever told me, though.
I mean,
that really is.
And it's really basic.
Yeah.
This is, I talk to kids and I'm like, how long do you chew your food? And they're like, what do you mean? 5, 10 times.
Yeah.
100 times. Like, you should chew your food until it's liquid.
Wow.
Until it's processed. That's the first part of your digestion is chewing your food. You don't have any teeth in your stomach.
It's true.
So if you're chomp, swallow, it's not getting processed because you didn't start that process in your chewing of your food.
Yeah.
So really basic stuff like that, breathing, eating, walking, those things can really change somebody's life.
Wow. Yeah. No, absolutely. And it's so funny when you break it down to something as simple as that, right? Mm-hmm. And then what I love what you said, like if you do the breathing, what is it? The breathing, eating, walking correctly, the weight takes care of itself.
Easy.
That's fantastic, man.
Easy.
That's really cool. Hey, I want to touch on one more thing, man, because you were the first person to expose me to this. When we went to do our recovery session, we did sauna.
Yep.
We did ice bath, and we also did red light therapy. Mm-hmm. And I'm really curious because I read a lot about red light therapy, and from what I read, it's like, okay, so if you take like the MD sites, they're talking about it's more of a skin health kind of thing, like burn victims. They would use red light therapy for recovery, stuff like that. But you were talking about it more of a cellular level,
big time.
recovery. So kind of walk me through that a little bit.
Red light and it's huge.
Yeah.
We're big plants.
Yes.
We're big walking, talking plants, right? So we need light, oxygen, and we need water, like good sources of water and air and food. Like we need nutrients. But light, you're not going to grow a plant in a closet.
It's true,
right? It's got to be exposed to light, and so light waves in and of themselves. There's red, there's blue, there's violets. There's all these colors of the spectrum. Well, red has been proven to be the most effective for our cell regeneration. So you're only as healthy as your healthiest cell, right? We go back to the fact that you're only the weakest link is where you're going to fall. So aging, wrinkles, dehydration, all these things are related to your cells just not functioning anymore.
Yeah.
They just fall off.
Yeah.
Well, red light causes your cell to produce more ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is the currency, the energy
Say that
of
one more
your
time.
cell.
Adenosine
triphosphate. So ATP.
ATP. Okay.
ATP. So your energy, so ATP is the currency. It's what your cells need to function. If they don't have that, they die. Or they stop functioning at a higher level. Every cell, skin cell, liver cells, kidney cells, blood cells, every cell, your eyes, your skin, everything has a cell. Red light causes those cells to start to produce more energy. If I'm producing more energy, I can start to repair at a faster rate. So the factory of every cell, the mitochondria, red light makes that mitochondria function even more.
Okay.
Every time you're exposed to red light, you're producing more cellular recovery.
So tell me about the red light. Is there a specific light that you need? I mean, obviously the sun's the best red light you'll get, right? The early morning sun?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you said that. So specific to what time of day.
Yeah.
Right. So high noon, not good sun.
Right.
That's blue light or yellow, or it's very bright. But in the morning and at night, you can look right at the sun.
Yep.
I wouldn't advise it, but I mean, you can look towards it
Yep.
and it's not going to be like blinding like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So red light in the morning and red light at night, those are the OGs. That's the original red light.
Yeah.
Now, what you're really getting, you're getting infrared and far infrared, near infrared, red. That is the nanometers. It's the wavelength, right? So it's a certain nanometer. I think it's from 680 to 9 something, or maybe even 500 to 900. Is a wavelength that penetrates your skin.
Yeah.
It goes into your eyes, which are connected directly to your brain. It goes into your skin, it talks to your cells, and it creates more energy. And it starts to put your body in a rhythm of how the planet's moving on the circadian rhythm.
Yep.
Right? So
Okay.
red light in the morning is to get your body ready to work. Red light at night gets your body ready to rest and digest.
Yeah.
So there's 2 phases. And if you miss those phases, you don't see the sunrise, you don't see the sunset. This is where people get sunburnt. You walk outside, and your skin's not ready for it. And now all of a sudden you're getting burned.
Oh, I got
So
you.
red light does a lot of different things, but as it relates to jiu-jitsu particularly, and for just athletes and repair, red light, red lasers, these things will cause your body to repair itself 5 times faster. Like being exposed to it and getting in front of a red light causes your cells to start to repair and regenerate. I sprained my ankle doing I was doing a hurdle drill, and you might see this on my Instagram. It was like one of those, oh no, and I like fell, right? Like crushed these hurdles, and it was like, oh no, wow. I sprained my ankle bad. Like went into an instant sweat. Like it was like, it happened. And I went and stood in front of a red light for 5 minutes, and I finished I never ever had any more ankle pain out of that ankle.
Wow.
So you'll see me doing stuff at the gym and at the facility where I have a red light on somebody as we're doing some of our warm up and our cool down. And if it's early in the morning, I want only red lights on in the gym. So if it's 5 o'clock in the morning, if the sun's not up, we don't have on artificial lights. If the sun's gone down, no artificial lights. Everything's either red and to the point where your body is in sync with the circadian rhythm.
Wow.
But as it relates to injury, we can put a red light right on you. I had a girl, she took a foul ball, softball off her ankle. And she came in, it was black and purple. We put the red light on there. It caused all those cells to start. The ones that are alive, get busy. The ones who aren't, you got to go.
Wow.
So it went from purplish black to like a red.
Wow.
By the time we got done. That was about 15 minutes of red light.
What kind of light are you using? Is it, I mean, you can't just use a regular bulb, like a red bulb, right?
So you can't for actual repair, right? There's levels to it. If as far as circadian rhythm, I want to block blue light, so red light glasses and red bulbs will work for my circadian rhythm.
Okay.
For repair and actually skin regeneration or cell regeneration, you're going to need a certain amplitude of voltage. You need a lot of power for it to actually get through space.
Yep.
So it's very, I don't know what the term is, but as I get further away from it, it gets less effective. So the
Gotcha.
closer I can be to it, or the more powerful it is, the better it's going to be for my cells.
So you've got to be standing like right.
I'd say within 10 to 12 inches, like a foot away. You want to be for repair stuff.
Yeah.
So repair stuff, we need a certain amount of voltage. We need a certain amount of amplitude to actually penetrate the skin and the cells. As it relates to circadian rhythm, just a red bulb will work. So it just depends on what your purpose is and what your intentions are behind the red light.
Yeah, so I started using a sunrise and sunset simulator as my alarm.
There you go.
And I noticed a significant difference when I started using it because it's actual like number one, you're not waking up to this there's a blast of noise. You know, you're waking up. I have birds chirping.
Yeah.
But
but
is
that the circadian app?
No, it's a Philips alarm clock.
Oh, wow, okay.
That simulates.
There's an app called Circadium, or whatever, but it wakes you up to birds.
Oh,
like chirping.
Yeah, this thing is like I can't remember. I think I got it on Amazon, but it's a Philips alarm clock, and it simulates sunset.
Nice.
And you can set it for like 90 minutes, 30 minutes. I set it for like 30. And then it simulates sunrise.
Oh, wow.
So it
That's cool.
slowly gives you some red light in the first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
And I notice a significant difference just in my mood.
Oh, yeah.
Number one,
yeah.
right?
Big time.
And just in the way I feel, the way I wake up. And Amy is always joking with me. She's like, I can't believe you just pop up out of bed like as soon as the alarm goes off. But I don't know. There's something about it. It's different. It's like when I was waking up to like even like the crickets on the phone, so I would just hit the snooze. But this thing, I just pop right up, man. I noticed that not from the very beginning, but after I started using it for a while, it was really good. Yeah, I've been I'm a big believer, like sauna, ice bath, all that stuff. But I've been really wanting to get into this red light. And if someone were to say like, hey, I need to recover a little bit better, like you said, it helps a lot in recovery. What would be a good place to find a red light for home use?
As far as like a device or a company,
yeah,
and there's a lot of them out there.
Yeah, whatever you think would be the best.
I don't know if they're about the best, but Jimba Red or Gimba Red is a company, and EMR Tech is a really good company. And I say really good because they have actually done a lot of the tests and the studies for flicker. And if you're not familiar with flicker is like the amount of adjustment your body has to continually make because of light waves, the way that they fire. Sometimes they're causing flickering, is causing your body to work in reverse.
Yeah.
So red lights to cause you to like calm down, but if there's a lot of flicker rate, you're constantly adjusting and you're working, you're staying awake, more awake than you would be if there was no flicker. Yeah. And so a large, there's so many. I can't even say like one is better than the other, but there's a lot out there. And I typically just look for nanometers. I look for what is it measuring, what nanometers is the output.
Yeah.
And usually between 5 and 900 is what I want to have. And so if it has that, then it's producing the appropriate light wave for my body to receive a benefit.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just making notes.
Yeah,
I'm totally
getting one. Good.
I'm totally getting
seriously.
one. Yeah, no, that's great, man.
My son, on red light, my son didn't sleep through the night until we put a red light on.
Wow.
He would just stay up.
Yeah.
And so blue light, TVs and artificial light, keep your body awake. And he would just be up, and he still struggles with it. And we put that red light on, shut it down.
Wow.
Shut it down. There's no drugs, we don't need any melatonin. We're not, just red light, and he goes to sleep.
No kidding. That's great.
I mean, he was 2 years old before he slept through the night.
Wow.
19 months.
Sure.
He's pushing 2, and it's like, dude, go to bed. And
So I have a question. I have a stupid question about morning sunlight, because just the nature of the beast, man. Like, I get up in the morning, about 4:30, I'll have a meal, and then I got to shoot out the door about 5:15 to make it to the academy to teach my first class. And then I have, right now I have a day job, and I'm indoors a lot.
Yep.
And then, I get home, I literally bounce off the dining room table, I eat something, and then I'm back at the academy to teach in the evenings. And and then I lock up and it's dark. So I'm not in direct sunlight a lot. Okay. So, but this time of year I can take advantage because, at about 5 o'clock there is daylight.
Sun's coming up. Yeah.
Do I have to be able to see the sun to get the red light, the value from that red light, or can I just be outside?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, both.
Okay.
You want to see it if you can.
Yeah.
And it's hard. Some parts of town you can't see it, but you want to see, you want to find that orange red light.
Be exposed
and get
directly
it into
to
your
it.
eye. Yep.
Okay.
Get it into
your eyes. I didn't think about that. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest point, is being able to get into your eyes, because your eyes are connected directly to your brain.
Got it.
And so that signaling happens by it coming in through your optic nerve.
Gotcha. And now, would that have the same effect with a simulated red light? Do you want to stare into that as well?
Yep.
Okay.
Or just let it get in there.
Okay.
I wouldn't stare into it, but there's been a number of studies that show that people can improve their eyesight by getting red light exposure. There's red light tables that you literally stare at these lights or let it shine through your eyelids. It goes through your skin, and they're getting better at their vision. So macular degeneration's going away. All these things that we typically say are irreversible are becoming reversible with red light.
Nice.
Hair growth, skin repair, scars, wrinkles, all of that using red light. So getting it right in front of you on a continual basis. And that's the thing. So every morning I wake up, I have a red light in the bathroom. It's the first thing I see, and it's the last thing I see before I go to bed. I just have that light's always on.
Is it a small one? Just
yep,
small
just
one?
a little tiny little red light that's on, and so I may not see the sun.
Yep.
Right, but I'm going to the facility usually about 5:15.
Okay.
So I can usually see, but I got an app that tells me like, hey, sun's coming up.
Nice.
Go see it.
What is it called? The app?
Circadian. Or Circadian, I think it's called. And it's an alarm based on Tempe, Arizona.
Nice.
So it comes up, and then it'll tell me, hey, it's time to eat. Like, it wants you to eat at a certain time. So nutrient timing, it does all your nutrient timing. Like, you shouldn't. There's certain things for circadian rhythm that your body's wanting to do. So if you ever wake up at 2 a.m. and you're like, ugh, I just can't. Your body was in the middle of doing something. Whoa. Right? Repairing your liver, or your kidneys were doing their little exercise that they like to do. And it happens at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock on a continual basis every day. And if we interrupt that, or if we're not in sync with that, then some days are just terrible.
Yeah.
You wake up and you're like, I am so groggy. It's because you interrupted, or you didn't start that process. So you went to bed at 12:30. So that process didn't start really until 1:30, when it normally should have started at 10.
Yeah.
So you wake up at 6 or 5, now you interrupted what your body was normally doing.
Wow.
So getting in line with that processing, whatever it is, right? So sleeping at the same time and waking up at the same time will help align that. But ultimately, having the ability to stop eating at a certain time, get into bed at the same time, wake up at the same time, and eat. So it tells me, wake up, hey, go see the sun. Okay, start your workout. Okay, eat your first meal. Okay, time to start. Eat your last meal.
Wow.
Sweet dreams. It's
No
like, go to
kidding.
bed, 9:42. I need to be in bed.
Wow.
And so,
that's
but
awesome.
my mood is different. I spring right up, and it's these little birds. I remember when I first got the app, I'm like, man, what the hell are these birds? I'm like, I can't turn it off.
Yeah.
These birds.
Yeah.
And so, it's really cool to be able to have that, like, legit benefit happening and see it and know that it's working.
Yeah.
This is actually real.
Yeah.
You know, the red light is probably the biggest thing. I think people need to go on a light diet. You need to go on a light diet based on the sun. So when the sun's down, no more artificial light. When the sun is up, do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And so especially for people who work indoors.
Yeah.
Like, get on the light diet. So start changing all your light bulbs just for a month. You know what I mean? They're little $2 bulbs, not even that much. Get all amber and red lights throughout your entire house, or turn them off at, when the sun goes down.
Yeah.
And then when the sun comes up, you can do what you do.
Yeah.
But start to get into a light diet. There's a lot of research that's talking about blue light and artificial light changes your hypothyroid, and it changes your body's ability to lose fat, burn fat. It's like blue light makes you fat. Is what they're saying. And it's because your hypothyroid and your thyroid sits at a point where your cell phone and your computers are exposing it to blue light and artificial light on a continual basis.
Yeah.
And so it's crazy to think that we can be on a light diet. But there's times when I'll have people like, we're going to work out in only red light. We're just going to work out. It's like blue light and artificial light causes your body stress, and red light does the opposite. So why don't we just work out and do stressful stuff, jujitsu, in red light?
In red light, yeah.
It should just be red light. I'm repairing my body as I tear it down, and so I'm going to be that much better.
I wonder how I can do that in the academy, because I have a lot of
light.
A lot
of blue light.
It's all blue light.
All blue.
And it's bright and it's
100%.
beautiful. And
yeah, we love it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So that's being on a light diet, because I have options at home. I mean, obviously we have lights all over the house, but we have lamps. You can put red light in the lamps, right? That's not an issue. So that I think, I'm going to take your advice on that.
It's just oranger. It doesn't have to be red and it's all creepy and weird. And it's like just a yellowish, orange, amber light.
Well, it's my house. I can make it creepy.
Your neighbors might not think so.
Right.
They're like, what
the hell's going on? Yeah.
I think, so fire is a red light. And if you think back to the olden days when people when there was no electricity, they started a fire. They had lamps and they had candles, all of those things. So light a candle, doing those things, that's red light.
Okay.
That is original red light, looking at a fire. And it's very nostalgic. You go to a campfire and you just get sleepy.
It's fantastic.
You know what I mean? Just watching the fire.
Yep.
And it's very majestic. And that's what red light, it gets you into this mode of rest and digest.
Dude, that's awesome.
And then you wake up when the sun comes up.
Yeah.
And the birds are chirping. So
I like that. I like that.
I love, for what is it? A buddy of mine has his entire, so he has a gym. He's got a training facility. He's got a UFC basically training facility in his basement.
Yeah. Oh, really?
His lights change with the sun.
No way.
They change with the sun.
I love that.
It's amazing. I think Philips does that. They have a house system that will turn brighter as the sun comes up. So we'll be rolling, go over there on a Saturday morning, and I train him. He's one of my clients, so we'll work out and train. And it's like kind of dim, kind of amber. He's like, all right, let's roll real quick. Go throw a gi on, let's go. And it's 9 o'clock, and at 10 o'clock, the lights get brighter, and it's like,
What just happened?
Did you just let go of that choke you had, or what? Like everything became really nice, and so and as it gets darker, the lights get dimmer. The whole house.
Kidding. That's
phenomenal.
so cool.
I'm like, this really is a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a biohacker. He's in it. He's in. I'm
That's
like,
cool.
This is cool.
Yeah. So that's the thing, man. Biohacking. Yeah. That's and it can start. I mean, start with the red light, right?
Yeah.
And go from there.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
So listen, man. Where can people find you? How do people find you? Social media wise, or talk a little bit about where your facility is and how we can get people in your door.
Okay. So Instagram unfair.advantage is our Instagram. UAPAZ.com is the website, and then we're 1 block south of the Tempe Marketplace. Mm-hmm. So I'm right off the 101 202 junction there. And we've been there for 7 years. Really easy location, I think, to get to.
Yeah.
And we have group classes that are happening every day, morning and night. And what else? Facebook. We're at facebook.com/keepitunfair.
Keep it unfair.
Keep it
like
unfair.
it.
I always tell people, if I'm in a fight with a bear, pour the honey on the bear. Don't they? Or pour the honey on me. Help the bear. Don't help. Help the bear, because he's gonna be a long day.
That's awesome.
Keep it unfair.
Yeah, if you guys have an opportunity to go, just check out the facility, and it's not just for super athletes. It's not just for people trying to get to that next level. It's just anybody. I've seen people in their 60s,
Mm-hmm.
working out in your facility. It's a great facility. You're gonna have a hard time finding anything at that level. From fitness wise, like you said, the diet coaching wise, and the part of the facility that is dedicated to recovery is amazing. I'm telling you, man, you have a great facility there.
Thank you.
I'm really, really impressed. But before you're allowed to leave, I have we do a lightning round of questions.
Oh man, here we go.
So lightning round of questions, and you gotta be honest, but there are no wrong answers.
Oh,
all right.
boy.
And there's some things in here that may not apply, because I'm just saying you're not at your advanced age, but you're a little bit older than some people. So, all right, here we go. So, name a game show you think you could actually win.
Family Feud.
What's your favorite cheat meal?
Ooh, French fries.
Ooh, I love French fries. I was recently asked, like, hey, who makes the best fries? And I'm like, sober or drunk? Because there is a difference. Okay, what's the longest you've gone without brushing your teeth?
3 days.
Ooh, nice. All right, what's your go-to karaoke song?
Young MC. Bust a move.
Bust a move. Oh, that's a good one. What's a dumb song you secretly like?
Hey Jude by the Beatles.
Ooh, all right. Do you sleep in or like to nap?
Neither.
Okay, PlayStation or Xbox?
Xbox.
DC or Marvel?
DC.
Yeah. Would you like to travel into the future or back in time?
Ooh, future.
And what's your favorite childhood TV show?
The A-Team.
The A-Team. Ooh, yes.
B.A. Baracus.
I forgot about that one. I was always like, Leave It to Beaver and stuff like that. The A-Team.
The A-Team. I wanted to be the A-Team.
dude. Well, listen, man, this has been awesome. This has been like so educational for me, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to get a lot out of this. And by the way, this is the longest podcast yet.
Setting records.
I thought we were like doing in a half hour. We're at 1:42. Dude, man, thank you for your time.
Yes.
And if, like I said, if anybody's looking for a great place to train, you can do a lot worse than Unfair Advantage. So, Watus, thank you so much, man.
Thank you, Alex. It's been great.